Hello, magical people of the internet. I am Jen, and welcome to my vlog I never thought I would, where we discuss doing things we never thought we would do and the unexpected places that they can lead us. I have a phenomenal guest today. Her name is Jean Kay, and she is a prolific poet who has been writing a poem a day for the past 23 years. I know, it's incredible. Hi, Jean. Welcome today.
Thanks. Yes, it is incredible. It amazes me too. It's the first thing I do every morning. I just before I eat, drink, or speak, that's what I have to do. But something that I never thought I would do is become a teacher at the age of 60 and on cruise ships. And I
Wait, I have
taught.
to stop you there because what kind of teachers do they have on cruise ships? I wasn't aware that there were training, that I could go on a cruise and take some sort of training course.
Well, actually, there are computer courses on cruise ships, and there's a cost for them up, over and above your fare. Well, what we taught was basic Windows. I'm talking like 18 years ago, and some people had just never turned on a computer. So this was their chance to take some time just to learn what it was all about. So we taught email and some Word, some Excel, but then we taught 4 classes in Photoshop Elements, how to fix up their photos. And it was amazing because they were so excited to do that. And of course, with digital cameras, you can take a gazillion photos. And everybody was taking photos because they're on a cruise. So we got to see everybody else's photos as well, as they'd come in on their lunch hour or on a break, and we give them access to it so they could work on their own photos. So that was really great.
Okay, I
And
have to stop you because I have so many questions about how you even ended up. How did you even find out that there was an opportunity? Hold on, let me even take a step back. Had you ever been on a cruise?
not at that point, I had not.
So you had never been on a cruise, and all of
I
a sudden,
Actually, I'd been on a 3-day cruise up the West Coast. I was a travel agent way back, and then worked for Canadian Airlines. So travel has always been part of me. As I was approaching my 60th birthday, I had thought about going on a cruise. And that was going to be, I had some money put away, and that was what we were going to do. Well, as it came closer, I knew that that wasn't going to happen. Just various things going on in life. I knew that wasn't going to happen. But I also knew that I needed to get a book out. So I signed the contract to get the book out. And at that time, it was print on demand. And the book was called Morning Light. After I'd signed that contract, I heard about, through a friend, I heard about this opportunity to teach computer on cruise ships. Well, at Canadian Airlines, I had been relief staff for a lot of years, so was always the first to be trained on all the new electronic technology that was coming through. So I felt, okay, I can wing this, and so I took the course and took the classes and passed. And my first assignment was unbelievable. I met a gal on the docks in Fort Lauderdale, and we went to Aruba, through the Panama, up to through Costa Rica, up to San Diego, over to Hawaii, around the islands twice, and back to San Diego. I was hooked.
wow, that sounds like the most incredible trip I've ever heard of.
It was a really good trip, but a little scary for us at first because Rhonda, who's become a good friend, and we had to share a cabin, and we'd only just met, right? So we knew that for the next 6 weeks we'd be sharing a cabin, which most of the time worked out really well. There were a couple I could have done without. We worked as volunteers, so we didn't get paid for teaching, but we got our airfare paid to the dock, and we had guest status. So we got the dining room, we got the dance floor, we got, the swimming pools, it was just amazing.
And how many hours a day did you have to teach?
When we were at sea, it was
Mhm.
9 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in the evenings we also helped out with the internet cafe.
Hmm.
So
You were working a long day.
we were working a long day, but days in port, everybody was off the ship, so there were no
Mhm.
classes going on, and most of the IT kids that were on the ship from Mumbai or from the Philippines were they'd seen all these ports, so they didn't care if they got off the ship. So they they were quite happy to stay on so we could get off, and we certainly took advantage of that. But I still did my writing every morning, and
Mhm.
I'd be up on Rhonda would be asleep, and I'd be up on the seventh deck, and just found a place to sit and do my writing. People would sort of look at me quite strange as they went by, but every morning, and then quite often, when I was getting up, somebody would say, "What are you doing? I see you up here every day." And I said, "Well, this is my ritual. This is what I need to do every morning." And it's way more than a habit. It's
Mhm.
it's part of my life. And all my friends and family and everybody know that first, at least the first half hour of every day is mine.
Mhm.
Like, don't talk to me, don't bother me, don't, I need that quiet. That's my time. And so often over the years when people say, "Oh, I could never write anything," and I'd say, "Well, they'd say, 'I don't have time,' and I said, 'Well, you just make the time,'
Mhm.
because if I had to be up at 7, then I was up at 6:30.
And that's true with everything in life.
It is.
We have time for the things we make time for, period.
Yeah.
If there's something really exciting that we have an opportunity to do, we are going to find the time to do it if it's
Yes.
important to us.
Yes, it's
Um,
true.
so I wanted to ask you before we get onto the writing, I just wanted to ask you, so how many cruises did you go on?
28 cruises in 2.5 years.
In 2.5 years. So
So,
in those 2.5 years, how many days are you actually home on land?
well, I know my husband used to dread the phone ringing whenever I was home because he knew it would be another assignment. Our our assignments were 4 to 6 weeks at a
Mhm.
time, and sometimes like we'd be in the Caribbean, so on a 4 week assignment, we'd be doing the same circuit, for 4 weeks,
Mhm.
but with different people, of course, on board. So
Definitely.
it was such a wonderful experience, and I'm so glad I did it. I mean, you look at the cruise industry now, and what dire straits they're in, and what a golden opportunity I was given. I worked for High Seas Computers out of Los Angeles,
Mhm.
but then um, and mostly on well, I was always on Celebrity, which is a wonderful cruise line. And then Celebrity saw that this was, something that was very becoming more and more popular with people. So
Mhm.
they decided to take it on as a crew job instead of a
Okay.
volunteer job.
Mhm.
So that would have meant 4 or 5 months on, a month or two off, and then back at it. Well, no,
No.
that's not what I had signed up for. So that's why I left. I'd still be doing it if
I've had some friends who've worked on cruise ships in the entertainment capacity, and it just sounds like such an incredible experience. I've never been on a cruise before, and
oh,
um, it
it
doesn't look like I'll be on one for a little while
well,
as of right now. But
it
I just
it is a wonderful way to travel. Your meals are all looked after. You've got all the entertainment you need. You've got rest. You've got great accommodation. You're waited on hand. You just unpack once and then you're done. Even though you've seen lots of countries. So I would go back, and cruise again if things were better.
yeah.
But
Did you find, sorry, did you find that the rhythm of your writing or the style of your writing changed or shifted a little bit when you were writing at sea as opposed to writing at home?
well, it's a different kind of peace and quiet when you're
Hmm.
out, with nothing but ocean for, in every direction. And you feel the power of that. just to sit and really observe that and soak it all in and let it be part of me.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty peaceful person, but I think that was definitely an incredible time for me. Yeah,
Mhm.
just and you know, you're on a ship with 2,000 people, and yet you can just space out in your own zone, you know, just, you know, break away from whatever's behind you or troubling you. Or we were pretty pretty intimidated the first few times we had to teach, and there were two guys, there were four of us all together, and there were two fellows sharing a cabin, and they'd been doing it for a long time, and but we made it okay.
So you've been writing poetry for several years. You mentioned your first book, Morning Light, which is a poetry book that you had to finish before you went on your first cruise. And
And that was my payoff. I mean, I you know, I decided not to go on a cruise to celebrate my birthday. I decided to write this book, which is quite spiritual,
Mhm.
and it takes courage to put out, you know, a spiritual book.
Yes, it does.
And here was my reward, you know, 28 cruises instead of one.
Instead of one, that's kind of better.
We are rewarded in many different ways.
And now you have another book out. Well, you have several books out, but let's talk about your newest one. And
We,
it's called Thanksgiving Poetry to Inspire.
yeah, poetrytoinspire.com is my website. So I want my titles now to read, um, like I have a Christmas poetry to inspire, and then Thanksgiving. There's a couple more in me yet that may or may not get written, but um, the Thanksgiving one is not just for Thanksgiving. It's so important to be thankful and grateful all year, and not just for big events. I mean, it's wonderful to be grateful for them, but it's the little things, you know, it's the everyday things. It's being thankful to your partner for cooking a meal or taking the garbage out, or, you know, those two words, thank you, are so powerful, and they're so meaningful. It changes chores into just acts of kindness, you know, and that's it's just so important to always be grateful.
I couldn't agree with you more. I dabbled with a meditation practice prior to the pandemic. I have solidified a daily meditation routine during the pandemic, almost out of necessity to stay sane. And it's amazing when you start a gratitude practice, the things that you notice that you take for granted that are so basic and simple. Okay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. COVID affects people's breathing. One of my first things I am grateful for every single day now is for ease of breath, because so many people, once they get COVID, are struggling to breathe, gasping for breath, having respiratory issues. And like, wow, I can effortlessly take a breath. That is a freaking miracle that we take for granted every second of every day.
We're breathing in the power of life every second.
Every second. But simple things like that,
Yeah,
access to fresh water, the fact that I can walk on two legs, like, because so many people in this world don't have those basic things that we take for granted.
yeah. And thank you is the most basic and most powerful prayer you could ever say. Doesn't matter who you worship, you know, and or if you're just out in the forest, just saying thank you is so important. You don't need to put a name on it, you know. So, and especially if you're with a group of people and you're, you know, prior to the pandemic, and you're just um, having a dinner party, and I always say thank you before the meal, and I don't necessarily put a name on it. I just am grateful for them
Mhm.
being there and for the food and for all the good things coming our way, you know. And it's just Yeah, the two very important words to say, always, all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, so your books are available on your website, Poetry to Inspire,
And
and
also on Amazon.
also on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yes. And are you on social media?
I am.
Great. So we will have all the links below. And what's your social media handle?
GK Poet.
Perfect. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Oh, you're
Really
welcome. Thanks
appreciate
so much for having me. It's a pleasure to talk about positive things that go on in our lives. We
it.
need
Yes.
to we need way more of that
And
today.
I'm so excited for you that you got a 28 cruise package instead of just one measly cruise for your birthday.
Yes.
That's fabulous. But
Yes.
thank you for sharing your inspiring story. I am so envious of your commitment to your writing process. I try to write every day. I haven't gotten there yet, but to write a poem every single day for 23 and a half years is beyond an achievement. I don't even know what to call that.
It's a miracle as far as I'm concerned because
Yes, I think
it, it,
so.
it amazes me. And it's just, part of that discipline is to go to the same place, the same chair, have your books there, have your, I create with pastels first and say I am whatever, but and there's a lamp there and the cat curls up beside me and my body just knows that that's what I'm there to do.
Time to write. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all part of the process. It's just not just discipline of doing it, but where you are doing it.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, Jean. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
grateful for you to share your story with us.
Thanks very much. It was my pleasure.
Thanks. Thank you, wonderful people in the interweb. I hope you enjoyed Jean's story today. We have all the links below. You can check out her website, her work, her social media, and I would like to challenge you to do something you never thought you would do. Let us know what it is and where it leads you in the comments. Have a beautiful day.